everybody. Welcome to a very special Shot from the Point Dead, and none other than the Colossal is Crazy in the Baited Podcast. We're going to talk about a lot about the Baited Podcast, and another than my best army buddy, Dead on Dave from Dead on Dave Productions. Make sure you give him a sub. I titled the video Colossal's Crazy versus Zoie Burgher because I thought that was the most interesting part of the podcast.
It's also going to get you a lot of views, hopefully.
That's true too, and you're 100% correct. Yeah. Well, believe me, views have been down. I got to do what I can, and we opened up with 300. That's a good sign, there, clown.
Good stuff.
But that being said, I mean, I do think it's relevant, not only to what happened on Baited,
absolutely.
but to the conversation. How do you feel about Zoie after this situation? You had a much lighter opinion of her going into this podcast than you did coming out. I mean, how does it stand now after this situation?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say a lighter opinion, but I certainly thought it was going to be Keemstar versus Zoie Burgher. I didn't think I was going to be the one attacking her. And I use attacking in inverted commas, but I certainly didn't think that I was going to be the one having a go at her. Obviously, I was going to say my piece, but it certainly was going to be, for the most part, very much Keemstar going on Zoie Burgher and Zoie Burgher defending herself, and that's what I thought and assumed going into the episode of the podcast. Obviously, and I think everybody knows this by now, Keemstar. I don't want to shit talk Keemstar too much. I don't want to talk too bad about him, especially considering he's not here. But he did fucking blindside me, and you to a certain degree, but me more than anyone else. He certainly baited me. He certainly trolled me. And he kind of snaked me. And I don't feel too bad about it because I did get him back, which is this little bit of a reveal of what he told me in private. And now he claims it's a lie. He claims I'm lying. Well, I'm going to stand by what I said. It's 100% the truth. He did say that to me. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. But I don't think I have a real reason to lie here. So I stand by it. It's 100% the truth. He did say that to me. He did go after Zoie Burgher in the first place because she was sucking up to scarce. And to use his words, quote for quote, practically, he had created a monster, and that's why he wants to now destroy her. That's what he told me at the time.
You suggested in the podcast that this may not have been as me and Dave, because we come from a wrestling background, which is part of the reason that I don't care about. I didn't get as emotionally up as you did growing up around pro wrestling and stuff. Me and Dave would call it a work. And what happened to you and me, Clown, is we got worked. And
we got worked, but I think it goes beyond that. We got snaked a bit. I certainly got backed into a corner.
Why do you feel like it's snaked, though?
I did not anticipate a fight. So I very much had to kind of react in the spur of the moment type thing, because I was not anticipating. I was not prepared in any way for what happened.
That came
off.
All
things considered, I felt that I did hold my ground quite well.
Oh no, I did think that, and I think I said in the podcast.
But it was very unfair to be put into that position, especially considering I am friends with Keemstar.
Sure.
Keemstar is friends with me, and it was unfair for him to do that. But I'm not holding it against him because I did get him back for it, and I don't feel bad in any way whatsoever for getting back at him in the way that I did. So no. if I kind of if people say like I kind of stabbed him in the back by revealing what I revealed, I think I was in the right to do it.
You were cornered. You were cornered.
I'm not his punching bag.
I'm
not going to allow him to take advantage of me. If he wants to throw me under the bus, I'm going to throw him the fuck right back. That's how I operate.
I don't think it's sort of a matter of throwing in the bus. I think the problem with Keem, and I'm going to get accused of defending Keem on this, but I'm really not. I think the problem with Keem is this. He wants to entertain because he's a YouTuber, and he really likes doing that stuff. He enjoys it. You see it on his own streams. The problem becomes with, and especially with you, Clown. I mean, the news label. What is the news? What's important about what's newsworthy? I mean, you've said it before. You don't want your death announced on Drama Alert. But I think Keem, innocently enough, wants to entertain people.
He can't have it both ways.
And I think that's the issue.
He can have the news, or he can have it entertaining.
Discussion. Can he have it both ways?
Now you can make the news entertaining, but you cannot make stuff up.
Sure.
I'm sorry. If you want that integrity, if you want to report the news, be very careful about how you report it and what news you're reporting. Keemstar wants the best of both worlds, and I think people are starting to realize he doesn't have it. So he can either choose one or the other, but he cannot fucking have both.
Yeah, well, not only does he want the best of both worlds, but he also doesn't want the consequences of the entertainment aspect of it, or even the goddamn informational aspect of it. He wants to be rid himself of those consequences. I mean, he almost takes exception to it. He gets offended by the fact that hatred, that anger, that judgment is coming his way. And it became very clear in this podcast.
Let's take a look at Drama Alert. Let's be serious about Drama Alert for a second in defense of Keemstar, because obviously I'm going to be put in that position. Look,
let's be careful about slating Keemstar too much.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he essentially
is a friend. And
he is a friend, and he's been very good to both of us.
For him to a certain extent.
But he does a gossip column. At the end of the day, is it so ridiculous? I mean, he's done.
Well, I mean, that is what I said, a glorified gossip channel on the previous episode.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, but you did kind of defend him there a bit. So are you now saying that it is?
That's where, and I would defend him from that perspective, because if Keem says that he is legit news as far as like straight news, then no, I can't defend him. But if he's going to say he's a gossip channel and entertainment news, which is a word that he used before, then I don't really have a terrible problem with what he did, just on the basis of entertainment. Now, you can decide whether it's tasteful.
But that is not what he has said in the last episode, which we have debated many times before in previous episodes.
No, that's true.
I called it a glorified gossip channel. He disputed that and said it is reporting the news. Well, again, he cannot have it both ways.
It's nothing wrong with having a
TMZ.
I think we got to talk to him. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a gossip channel. There's nothing wrong with having
absolutely not. And that's why I called Drama Alert a glorified gossip channel.
Yeah.
And he can do whatever he wants if it's a glorified gossip channel. I don't care. But he has always claimed that it's news, and I report the news, and I benefit the community by reporting the news. Again, he cannot have it both ways.
Okay. Now,
that is it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you 100%. Now let's switch to what was going on behind the scenes a little bit. Now, Dave, you were expecting a fight between Keem and Zoie. I was expecting a much different fight. I was expecting a fight between Keem and myself, because if you listen to our last podcast when all three of us were together, I had a very different attitude going into this podcast than I did, and I thought what Keem did was so cruel. And so callous, and after everything that had been through with Tony, I saw myself in a position where, I might, for the first time, have to really get it on with him in a way that I really didn't want to. And I'll tell you this, and I suppose this is the bombshell, and you know about this, Clown, and you know about this, Dave, and the details of this I would hope you would keep private, because it was a private conversation between me and Keemstar. I had a incident with Keemstar about 2 weeks ago. That incident's between me and him. And I talked to Dave going into this podcast fully believing that this wasn't a work, that there was just absolutely no way that I could defend his position on Zoie Burgher, even asking the question of being a pedophile. Well, I didn't call her a pedophile. No, but he asked the question. The question is ridiculous. And not only the question is damaging and everything you've been through. So I was actually going into this thinking this was going to be a blowout fight. And even worse than that, I thought this is the end of Baited. This is the end of my job. And then once it was a work, Clown, if you have to forgive me for not defending you like the way you did. And by the way, I don't disagree with anything you said on that podcast. When I found out the whole thing was a work, it was a joke, it was a way to start a conversation, all the air went out of my body like, oh, I don't have to have this fight. I don't have to have this anymore.
That was the thing that confused me. That was the thing that actually confused me. And that's the one question I wanted to ask you personally, Tommy, because you were so fired up. And I know exactly to what extent you were fired up. I was very surprised just because of the fact that it turned out to be a work, which you and I did talk about.
Yes, and by the way, Dave called this. I got to be honest with you. Dave called this a week ago. He did say this is happening. He said it was all work. You're going to find out. And I said, I don't think I could take that chance because he talked about it on Drama Alert. So I thought that was
well played to Dave on that one, and to anyone
Dave
else
called
who
it.
I
will.
Very, very, very few people that called. That
that's
stated
true.
It was work before.
Nobody on YouTube.
Was
Dave
revealed
called
it was a work.
But
so, congratulations to Dave on that.
But I
one.
told Dave to keep it
Take
quiet. I told Dave when we did our podcast.
I must say, and again, I want this to be the last thing I say about Keemstar. I think.
Okay.
Keemstar, absolutely, 100%. Me more than anyone else, but also Tommy to a certain degree. Led us on, absolutely. I mean, even an hour, half an hour before the podcast aired, before we recorded it, he was leading me on in every way to expect a fight between him and Zoe. And so I was very much backed into a corner, and I'm not holding it against Keemstar because I got him back. And I will have my kind of revenge, if you like, in a future episode. So I'm not holding it against him. That's the end of the story.
Sure.
But Keemstar did fuck up, and I want people to know that. He did fuck up, and I think he's seeing the effect of it now in what people are saying about the podcast. Because absolutely, I want to say 99% of people who have seen the podcast episode are on my side, and I'm very happy.
And I'm surprised. I got to be honest with you, I'm surprised.
Well.
I thought you were going to come off like the social justice warrior. Like he said he would.
Very few people are saying that.
I got to be honest with you because
I am grateful for that. I do appreciate it.
I'm grateful for you because I think quite technically or literally, for lack of a better word, you're correct. My thing was I didn't think it was a big deal to get upset over. For the simple fact is I realized it was work, so like all this like stress that I had going into this episode was gone. But B, nobody got hurt. If anything,
here's the thing. You kept saying, and Zoe kept saying, Keemstar kept saying, that I was upset. I mean, upset is the wrong word.
You seem pretty pissed.
It's totally the wrong word. Yes, I reacted to it strongly because I thought it was certainly a lot more serious than you three were all making it out to be. But I was not upset. I was not upset by it.
Yeah.
All I did was voice my opinion against it. That does not mean I am naturally upset. People putting words in my mouth and saying what I'm feeling. No, this is not what I'm feeling.
But
Zoe told me in the DMs.
The thing is, you called Zoe a whore.
Like, I always think you're angry at me. You're angry at me. It's like, no. It's like, I'm not angry.
Are you sure? But I mean, you called Zoe a whore. It's just the way you sound. It's just your voice. It's like, well, don't tell me what I am, what I'm feeling, because only I know that, and I certainly am not. I certainly was not upset. But do you understand why people might think that?
I felt I controlled my temper very well. So
and I understand you meant it quite literally. But I mean, can you understand why people might have? And I certainly felt this way. And then you seemed angry afterwards. We had to talk afterwards about my role on the show, and you did call Zoe a whore, and I know you meant that quite literally. But it's very easy to mistake your anger for that behavior that you had on the episode. I don't think it's totally unreasonable. Do you?
I mean, if you want an idea of me being angry, listen to the Great episode. Much. That's me angry.
Well, I don't think you were furious, but I mean, you weren't happy with.
I was making a very conscious effort to control my temper as much.
You weren't happy with me. You weren't happy with me at all. You told me so. I mean, let's talk about that.
It's again. Let's be careful what we say, but I was only unhappy with you in the sense, unhappy is the wrong word. I was a bit disappointed, and I did feel, and I said to you after the episode, I do feel like you were being a bit of a pussy in that episode, Tommy. And I retract that. I don't think you were being a pussy after listening to the episode back. I don't think you were being a pussy. I think you were being a clitoris. Not quite a full-on pussy.
You fucker.
Just a part of a pussy. I felt, though you did take my side in some aspects, in some things, you definitely held back to a huge extent. And I don't think... I know
because I wasn't outraged.
Recording issues.
I wasn't outraged.
Audio issues. But you definitely held back.
I didn't hold back. I wasn't outraged, and I like I said to you before, like once I realized the whole thing was a big work, all the anxiety that I had prior going in was gone. So like, oh wow, I'm not gonna lose my fucking job. Great, the only thing I got here is Colossal's pissed. I gotta be honest with you, like. The stuff that I've been doing on YouTube well before you guys and Keemstar came along is basically been Howard Stern type stuff. I don't care if I get worked. I don't care if I get used in an angle, so to speak, to promote a stripper. It doesn't bother me.
I think you were a bit of a doormat in that episode.
I got to be honest with you. Like, because look, if they called you a pedophile, if they called Dave a pedophile, I would be willing to lose everything. absolutely everything. But at the end of the day, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. Because it was once that relief went away, so to speak, and once I realized that nobody got hurt, and this was a stupid sort of way. I mean, Keemstar said it was a way to start a dialogue. A dialogue about what? A dialogue about, I don't know, double standards between men and women that we all pretty much accept and who gives a shit about. I don't think that...
Which, by the way, was not the discussion.
It really wasn't.
It wasn't, though. But that's the thing.
But I couldn't get outraged. I couldn't get outraged because nobody was hurt. And I do feel that the reason you're outraged is because your reputation on YouTube is very different than mine. My reputation is I'm a scumbag from New Jersey that has a filthy fucking mouth. I can
You're not a scumbag, though.
But that's my reputation.
Don't become Zoie Burgher's self-deprecation.
I'm not deprecating. I've been doing it for years. You know?
And you should have voiced your opinion more, I felt.
Okay. But my opinion is I agree with everything you said from a literal standpoint.
Nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but does someone have to get hurt for something to be just wrong on a moral level or ethical level? Or
it does. Somebody has to get hurt for me to get upset.
But that's the thing, though. Wait, but that's the thing. That's the interesting thing.
You didn't need to get upset, Tommy. You didn't need to get upset. I wasn't upset. I keep telling you this. But what's wrong with voicing your opinion, having a strong opinion on something, and really putting your foot down and not letting Keem talk over you and just dismiss what you're saying? You know, voice your opinion. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is why it is wrong. And don't laugh at a Zoie Burgher joke and don't dismiss it as a kind of troll or as like, oh, you got me. No, fuck that.
Well, no, I did feel like, because I don't think I felt like the joke was harmless, and my issue with Keem is the news thing. I like the joke. I got to be honest with you. I'll be very upfront with you, Clown. I thought the joke was funny. I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and say, but I mean, I do understand why you were offended by it. I do understand why you're bothered by it. And I think all the reasons are absolutely legitimate. I can't get upset about it because it didn't hurt anyone.
I'm not saying you have to get upset about it. I wasn't upset about it. But there is nothing wrong with strongly voicing your opinion on something that is clearly, as admitted, wrong.
It's tough to voice your opinion strongly on something when it just didn't seem that important. And it was like, good one, you got me, Well,
one of the things that we talked about on this show last week, the three of us, we talked about this together. One of the major points was the fact that the word pedo has been thrown around so loosey-goosey. Yes. Whether or not that it was a work, that word was still thrown around in a way that could, and I was just so surprised that you didn't have more anger just because it was a work that it all went away. I really don't understand that.
I was relieved. I was just relieved.
Thank you for bringing up that point, Dave.
Because that was a big one for me, man. That was actually a really big
because
one for
once I found it was once I found out I was just so relieved. And you're right. I mean, I got to be honest with you. And Keemstar is responsible. The word pedo is a part of our slang lexicon now, and I do think that he is ultimately responsible for that. I'm not going to say anything different. It is thrown around too lightly. It's thrown around as like, you're a jerk, you're a pedo. I mean, I hate it so much. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a victim of it the most because I'm older than most YouTubers. I hear it more than most people do, even if I'm like friendly to a girl or something like that. Well, if I'm being a scumbag and flirting with her, maybe I deserve it. But I mean, even when I'm not, I sort of get that whole thing. But I got to be honest with you, like, once I knew it was a joke, it was just a joke and I didn't care. And the rest of the episode, what was important to me was it entertaining? And then Keem and Clown did what they usually did, and they were super entertaining. And I think Zoie helped as well. And I was okay with whatever happened after that. But I'm going in there thinking I'm going to get in the fight of my life and potentially get in a situation where it endangers the podcast. And then once I found out that whole thing was over, that was not the case, and Clown...
You just lost your fire.
And not only that, I'll be honest. I'll give you a big hint. Clown used the argument against Keem that I was more than likely going to use. And I was thankful that I didn't have to use it. And I think Clown knows exactly what I mean.
I don't actually. Which point?
I can't, and I'll tell you offline.
There's so much about the situation that intrigued me. I mean, the entire thing came up. We keep talking about the fact that it was a work. And that's
Thank you so much for the donation, by the way. Go ahead, Dave.
That's the thing that probably was the most interesting about the entire thing. A lot of people don't understand what a work is, and there's many different types of work. We saw a very specific work. We saw an implied work, because this was a work that was not intended to be one. Keem got very lucky here. I think Keem got extremely lucky, because I don't think anything he did at the beginning with that first original Twitter video was intended to be a work. I feel he was trying to ask a question to cause some shit. One way.
He backtracked.
He absolutely backtracks. But I'll tell you who let him do it. It was Zoie. Zoie let him off the hook in a big way. This is what I think happened. He does this video. She decides, and she does it instantaneously. I mean, her video went up not even an hour, it felt like, after the original video. She comes back, and she could have done a crying video. She could have done I'm taking your ass to court video. There's a whole bunch of things she could have done to elicit an emotional response from the masses, and it would have worked, because Keem has that reputation against him already. She didn't. Her body language was very suggestive of, come along, I get what you were maybe trying to do. This is what we're going to do. She was very jovial and joking within it. She made some barbs that was very weird. Tommy also thought it was very strange. The first thing she was calling him a gnome. She was baiting him into a situation where letting him know that we're going to go forward and make this an entertainment angle instead of a personal angle. And then it became even more apparent at the tweets that she gave to him very soon after. And then from there, the work was on. From that moment on,
that's a very astute observation, Dave, and it's very difficult to disagree with it, I think.
After that, it was just on, man.
Well, I mean, I got to be honest.
They ran with it.
Dave was calling this a couple days ago. I mean, I'm sitting there telling him, like, there's absolutely no way that I can defend this morally, whether something bad happens or not. And Dave absolutely called this top to bottom. But I do got to ask you. I do got to ask you, Clown.
I did not see it coming.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Wrestling mind.
Well, yeah,
it's
just pro wrestling.
We're
sickos because we're pro wrestling. David mentioned it to me, and I told him it was a possibility. And he actually, before we had a podcast, I think it was whatever podcast that we did last week that had to do with this. Dave said, "Do you want me to bring up this narrative?" And I said, if you do, I want you to be really, really careful, because I don't know if it's true, because you spoke about it on Drama Alert. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. Dave decided not to go with it because, he didn't want to look like Alex Jones, I suppose,
I didn't want to risk anything towards you going into beta. I didn't want that to be something that was on the table for you to have to deal with. I thought
I never have more nerves before any episode than I did for that one, because
really? I'm surprised by that.
I did, and I was just like, oh God, it's a work. Thank God we can just have fun the rest of the episode. But then I saw
I do understand that perspective, Tommy. Yeah. I think you were just relieved more than anything.
Yeah, because there's no way I was going to allow that. And it's just like, I remember saying to Dave all week, like, how the fuck after Tony could this happen? This is ridiculous. This endangers everything. Like, I'm like, I was banging my head against the wall, and I do have my limits. But once I heard it's a joke, oh good, it's a fucking joke. Thank God.
Yeah, so I stand by what I said. You're not a pussy, you're a clitoris.
Well, it's the same thing.
Not a full-blown pussy.
Thanks.
I'll tell you something else too. Nobody was more relieved to find out it was a joke than Keemstar. I'm telling you that right now.
See, that's what Clown's narrative. Are we sure this wasn't a thing for the beginning? Because
they said it. They said it. If you go back and listen, really carefully,
I know what you're talking about.
They try to explain it, and they do explain it during the podcast. No, it was not a work. It was not a written work. See, there's written works where everything is planned and everything goes exactly how it's supposed to go.
They kind of felt it out and went with it.
Then there are implied works where somebody does something fucking crazy, and then the other person makes a decision. She made a decision because this is who she is. Mm-hmm. She is entertainment personified. It's the difference between people on YouTube. There are different categories.
Or entertainment personified.
See, that's the thing. This is a moral thing.
Entertainment minded.
Okay.
Colossal. That's what I mean by that. Okay. She's always thinking business wise. She's not thinking about how it's going to affect her personally, because she simply doesn't fucking care. Yeah. She is somebody who's thinking about what is going to entertain her fan base, which, like it or not, is immense. She happens to be targeting one of the biggest age groups of YouTube.
Yeah.
12 to 28, man. This is that's the lifeblood.
Yeah.
And she is just all over it. And that's the difference between people like you and Keem and her. They're entertainers. You're a fucking artist, clown. I've said it many, many times. I think you are the most talented guy on YouTube.
Well, thank you for sucking my dick there a bit.
Hey, you call it dick sucking? It's certainly not fucking
The
hyperbole.
thing is, I do consider myself. I don't consider myself an artist by any means. I do consider myself an entertainer, and maybe I consider Keem an entertainer. I'm very hesitant to call Zoe an entertainer. I'm sorry, but I think what we do is entertainment. I think what Keem has done here is entertainment at a very, very high cost. And it's at a cost of ethics and morals. And I don't think it's necessary at all. At all.
Oh, I know it's not necessary because, like,
that's
and I will defend you on this.
Very entertaining without bringing up these pedophile allegations.
The narrative that this helps things.
Or the insinuations or whatever you want to call them. It was not necessary.
Oh, sorry.
It was cheap. And it was very stupid.
I agree, but it was not on Zoe. That's on Keem. The way she reacts to it, I think she reacted to it the best way she could have possibly reacted to it. The only other ways is with outrage, anger, crying, or fucking threats of a lawsuit. I think the fact that she went with it in an entertainment standpoint to help get herself over and by proxy debated podcast, I think it says a lot about how she views YouTube.
Yeah. I think she's sucking it up until it's dry. That's the impression I get from it. And I gotta be honest with you, I know you feel differently than Clown. I know maybe you don't dislike her, but I actually kind of like her. You know, I don't hate her. I don't have any issues with her, to be honest with you. Whatever you guys do, you know.
I would not say I like her, but I don't hate her.
Yeah. She's a stripper.
I may not agree with what she does.
Podcast, and I was saying this very briefly.
Yeah.
We were speaking somewhat in the DMs. It's like, she's, she is what she is. She's doing this for money. She is a whore. I mean, she's a self-admitted whore. She's a whore.
Yeah.
But she's doing this for money. And whatever, she admits it. There's nothing really, really twisted going on here. But I'm sorry, this whole pedophile thing and how she jumped on it. And she said in the podcast, it's like, oh, yeah, well, I got some views out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is wrong. Shut up.
So you think she should have completely just buried it and Keem? Because that's what would have happened. Had she gone a different way, Keem goes back to the guy he was 4 or 5 months ago. Because I guarantee if she goes fucking apeshit about this and cries on YouTube, because this is the first time that she probably legitimately could have played a victim card, and she didn't.
I'm trying to put myself in her position and be like, what would I do if I was being insinuated as a pedophile? I would defend myself, certainly. But for the most part, I think I would let the rest of the internet do the work for me, which is kind of what she almost did until she went on the podcast, because even people like myself who don't really like her that much, don't watch her content, think it's a bit shit, think she's a bit of a whore. Even people like myself were defending her. So if she's got that and she had the internet defending her, what else does she really need to say? Obviously, it was ridiculous. I know some people were actually saying, even in this stream, in some of the chats, people were saying, Zoie Burgher is a pedophile. She is a pedophile.
That's ridiculous.
It is insane.
So it did have that effect. But okay, most people were saying, no, this is ridiculous. She's obviously not a pedophile. The community, she had the community's support. So what else does she really need to say? She had it there. Keemstar was in the wrong. But when she played this off for entertainment and views, and she got money out of it, and she was talking about how many subscribers she got out of it, I was like, what the fuck?
You were disgusted.
I was, again, maybe disgusted is too strong a word, but
why are you upset about that? I mean, I gotta be honest with you. It's a little difficult. Look, I believe that the whole starting a discussion thing is bullshit. I don't buy any of that stuff. But I also don't buy that you weren't upset. I don't think and there's nothing wrong with being upset. Clown, I defended you. I defended you in that podcast in the sense that I thought you were literally correct on all your criticisms. I just wasn't emotionally attached to it because it just wasn't that big a deal because nobody got hurt.
Emotionally attached, perhaps, I accept that. But upset, no, it's too strong a word.
Okay, I mean, we're playing. I don't want to play word cop with you, but I mean,
you
seem pissed. You seem pissed.
A little bit, yeah. It really is.
Yeah, you seem pissed, and I don't know if look, you feel strongly about this. I'm not calling you a social justice warrior. I mean, you feel strongly about this. You think it's fucked up. I agree with you on principle. I just don't think it's that big a deal, and I didn't care. I got Leon Lush saying he made a criticism of all of us and defended you, and he said that my contribution was hockey, yay! I mean, which is completely it's completely inaccurate.
That's asinine.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, all right, sure, whatever. I mean, you don't like me, whatever. That's cool.
Did you watch it, Leon Lush?
I probably think that's a little bit of I love that guy, but
I do too. I like him too.
Perhaps. I do think you did contribute to the box. Certainly towards the end, you were very much on my side.
Well, that's when in fairness, that's when I got my mic to work.
25 minutes through.
No, I did because that's when I did. Here's the thing.
Very much. Colossal is crazy versus Zoie Burgher and Keemstar.
No, it was true. No, it was true. But don't forget that I did forget to turn. I had a setting, the stereo mix set, and I did. And the only thing that reminded me of it is Keem says it. I don't know if you cut it out of the podcast. I can't. Nobody can hear you, Tommy. And I'm like, oh fuck. And then once that happened, I contributed a lot more towards the end.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And somebody wrote Keem is a fucking rat, and really. Somebody wrote here, Keem is a fucking rat. End of story. I don't think he's going out to hurt anybody. I think he was just trying to make people, get crazy. I mean,
I don't want to say too many bad words about Keemstar because I do genuinely like the guy. And
I don't think he was trying to do anything devious. Let's
be clear on one thing. Yeah. With Keemstar on this particular episode, he did fuck up.
You think he's
absolutely? He got off, and he got off. He got off, man. He did.
You think so?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know, Dave. I'm starting to get a lot. I've gotten
from the comments and not judging from what people are saying. He hasn't got
even look. The biggest problem, the biggest mistake they made was admitting that it was a work. It's the one thing you don't do in wrestling or anything else. You don't admit it's a work, and that's what they fucking did. They admitted it was a work, and that was a big mistake. But he's not catching the same level of heat that he would have caught had this not been a work.
Well, I mean, he is Keemstar. He's lived through so much already.
He's got that reputation.
Wife-beating allegations. I think he can survive this as well.
Oh, he absolutely could survive it, but it would have been a hell of a lot worse.
A lot of people are attributing this to the Rice Gum and Fousey Tube battle, and I think that's a very astute analogy, actually, a very astute comparison.
Ooh.
I do think, on some level, what Keem and Zoie have done is very similar to that. What do you think about that?
It's tough to argue with you.
The Fousey Tube and Rice Gum, the Rice Gum.
The thing is, I'll defend Keem on this. When the Zoie Burgher with the I don't know, the Fousey Tube, that jackass, he came out. He tried to point the finger at the drama channels. Keem said this was for fun. Make your own decision. Do you think it was good or bad? That's on me. He thought it was good. It's up to you to think it's bad. Fousey did a whole different thing. He went up and said, it's Scarce's fault, it's Keem's fault, it's everybody else's fault but mine. Keem didn't do that, in fairness.
I mean, the reasoning behind it is different. Mm-hmm. But the kind of way they staged it is similar, I think.
Yeah,
and I think
that's
it's a
true.
comparison. But yeah, I will never agree that doing that, the fact they've staged this or whatever, and maybe it wasn't staged initially, but they backtracked and whatever, I will never agree with that, especially when it concerns such a serious subject matter like paedophile allegations.
Yeah.
Whether it's insinuated or not, doesn't really matter.
The thing that confused me.
Yeah, I think they're both in the wrong for that.
Sure.
And that's it, pretty much.
There was something that confused me about the whole thing, about if they're going to go through all the trouble to make this work like that, if they're going to go there, even if it's implied or if it's staged, whatever, why give it away during the podcast when you can use everything that happened and give the fans a payoff by having the fight that was promised? That's, from an entertainment standpoint, that's probably my biggest problem with the entire situation, that really there was no payoff. It was more of a fizzle and a ha-ha, we got you. It's more of Keem and Zoie laughing at everybody and Clown getting upset and Tommy laughing. See, I had my entire synopsis of this episode was Clown gets upset, Keem tries to sell an angle, Tommy laughs, and Zoe's in the background masturbating. That's essentially what it came off to me.
I guess. I mean, you're right.
I think the payoff would not have been. I think the payoff would have been what Keemstar would have expected it to be or wanted it to be had I not fucking been there. Then they would have got the payoff. If someone hadn't been there to dispute it.
All right, let me ask you something, Clown. Here's the thing.
Tommy for this, but I got to say it.
What?
If I hadn't been there, and even if Tommy had been there, it would not have been the same episode.
I would have laughed my ass off. You're absolutely correct. I'm gonna totally back you up on that.
And I think a lot of the audience would have seen it from Keemstar's point of view, and
I agree with you 100% again. I do. I mean, I gotta be honest. That leads my next question.
Thanks. Fuck, I was in that episode.
Thank God.
Really?
But here's the thing. I remember thinking in the episode, Clown, you are gonna regret this. Everybody's gonna say, "Hey, knock it off, lighten up." Nobody's saying that.
I thought that as well, to be honest.
And that is not the case at all.
I'm grateful again.
Nobody's
for
saying
the community support.
And I gotta be honest with you, Clown, you actually deserve it because, in principle, you are 100% correct. This is not stuff to make fun of. Although I can't justify your reaction on the show. I thought was a bit over the top at the time. I do believe it now. But in principle, what you were saying, I can't out argue you on any one of your arguments. I just all right, nobody got hurt. Keemstar's doing the Keemstar King. Zoie Burgher's a stripper. I liked her. She seemed nice to me. Keem's been good to me. All right, it's a big joke, and it's called baited. Who gives a fuck?
I don't think that I went over the top at all. In fact, I made a very self-conscious effort to control a lot of the anger that I was was boiling up inside me. And there was not one point where I raised my voice,
No, but you were pissed. I mean, you were upset.
I felt you were pissed. I did. I got to be honest. I felt you were pissed.
Some of the fucking anger and the frustration because it was just fucking. If you listen to the podcast, I'm sure you get a sense of it. It's very difficult to listen to, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like the episode. And I think it's very fair that they don't like that episode.
I think people should take it as it is.
It's entertaining in the same way that it's a train wreck.
It's my favorite fucking episode. I got to be honest with you.
I
loved it. I found it fascinating, man. I really did.
It's fascinating. It is. It's fascinating in the same way that it's a train wreck, like the Grade A episode, which I despise. I hate that episode. But it is interesting from that point of view. And some people are saying it's the best episode so far. I disagree.
Are they?
I don't think it's the best episode.
I'm not getting that. I'm getting Tommy.
I actually still think the Joey Salads episode is the best.
Yeah, really. That was fun.
But I guess it's what people expect from a podcast. They want a full-blown war ground. Probably like
look. Here's another thing. Look, me and you both, before we met each other, were fans of Drama Alert. We like Drama Alert. We're working with Keemstar. He does this kind of stuff. Like I said, I was relieved, and that this wasn't real. And me and you both like Drama Alert. We have maybe different views. Like I'm a little more liberal than you in this department, but we have very different views of what Keem should and shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, it's very, very entertaining stuff.
Hey, look, I know what Drama Alert is, and I've said it multiple times. It's a glorified gossip channel. It's Keemstar who's the one who's refuting it.
It's TMZ for YouTube.
I can't agree with him on that. I mean, it's I don't want Drama Alert to be anything other than it is.
But he cannot have it both ways. Yeah. He cannot.
No, I agree with you. Hey, do you want to take some calls?
He says it's a news channel, and I'm gonna show integrity here. Or I'm going to have this as a glorified gossip channel. I'm going to report gossip going on in the community. But you cannot have both. And I think this last episode and what Keemstar has done only goes to prove that he cannot have it both ways. So he's got to pick.
Fair enough. Guys, I want to take
when you try to walk a line that tight, eventually you're going to fall the fuck off.
I think Keem's going to be fine at the end of the day.
Oh, he'll be fine. He's going to be fine.
He'll survive. But I'm
going to say this, too, and everybody's going to call me a dick sucker. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world.
People are going to watch regardless. And people are going to write those comments about Keemstar, calling him a rat and whatever, for time immemorial, and nothing he can do or say will ever change that. But nothing anyone can do or say will ever change the fact that they love Drama and they watch Keemstar because he's an entertaining fuck and he's a cunt.
Yeah, he's fun to be around. I mean,
and you're going to continue to watch Baited as well because it's
just fun stuff, And I really think a lot of people that are angry at this episode I don't know, they don't seem very much fun to me. You know, like it's just a fun episode at the end of the day.
Hey, look, people like to complain.
Yeah, but I mean,
feel
like,
some of the
let me and you suffer. You know, I mean, let me and you
justified.
suffer. You're supposed to enjoy it as a fan. People take this. I don't know. Sometimes I think they take it too seriously.
Well, that's how it goes with YouTube.
Yeah,
Can I
I
ask you
guess
guys
so.
a question? I want to ask you guys
Sure,
a
go ahead.
question. I want to ask you both this. We've talked a lot about who is Keemstar and what he is in this episode. We've said it a whole hell of a lot. I personally believe he's the TMZ of YouTube. I think that's a fair,
Which is
description.
not a bad thing, by the way. I'd
No,
love to
it's
be
not.
The TMZ
No,
of
but here's my
YouTube.
question to you both, and start with Tommy. Do you think Keem would be better off if he just owned who he was and stopped trying to make
I
the
think at
justification?
times he does, and then he says things that would lead you to believe that that's not the case. I think at times
He didn't
really does.
unbaited. He didn't unbait
Yeah,
it this week. There was no owning. That
I
was
wish
the
he
biggest
would
problem.
just say, "I'm entertainment news. Take it for what it is." But sometimes he does
He's
do
a
that,
dog
and
with
sometimes
two
he doesn't.
bones. He's absolutely a dog with two fucking bones.
Yeah.
Just pick one, buddy.
I mean, another thing is like
Own who
Keem,
you are.
Like here's another thing is Keem wants to be loved. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, that's a tough
he,
one.
Like, he does. He wants
Who
to be
fucking
loved.
doesn't?
You know, another thing is too is like I took a lot of shit for sucking his dick during the grade A Leafy stuff. But here's the thing, you know, Keem wasn't the only one vindicated. When Nick came clean, I was vindicated as well, 150%. I was vindicated by their behavior. But I mean, this is different. This is something that, you know, with it's a pedophile allegation, I cannot support under any circumstances. It's just, I'm trying to clear my own name. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I just don't think this joke at the end of the day is that big a deal. But I'll
Then
promise,
that was the circumstance.
But I
then that
promise
was
the audience.
You just said under no circumstances, though. You just said under no circumstances could you support it or let it slide. But there
No.
was a
If somebody
circumstance.
was
Being
accused,
aware.
no. Let me clarify. If somebody was accused of being a pedophile falsely and Keemstar did it, I'm not letting that slide on beta that period. But nobody was accused because it was a work to begin with.
Can I give you an analogy?
Sure.
Tommy. Let's see what you say.
Sure.
Perhaps it's a shit one. I am very tired. But here goes.
Go ahead.
Say someone comes round, they burn your house down. They know nobody is inside, like your family's safe, you're out on fucking holiday, everything's insured. In fact, let's say you actually get more money back on the insurance. Are you pissed?
Well, yeah. I mean, because they were talking about personal,
Right.
sentimental
Well,
things like that.
that is kind of like the same thing
But
that
I would,
Keemstar has done.
but I
Nobody
would
got
say,
hurt.
but
Nobody
see,
got
you know what?
fucking
I don't
burned.
see it that way.
Nobody got fucking burnt, as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't make it fucking right.
No.
And it doesn't mean you shouldn't be pissed about it.
You have to hurt somebody to get pissed about it. For me, it's
But
an
nobody
emotional
was
thing.
hurt before, though, Tommy. That's the thing. Everything that we were talking about, we didn't know if it was a work or not. We were talking just about the fact that the word was being used in the context.
But
that
I
Keem
think
was
that hurts
using it,
YouTube. I
which,
think
by
that
the
hurts-
way, does not change because it's a work. The context he used it is still the exact fucking same.
And it's gotta fucking go. It's period. It's gotta go. Period. Hey, listen. I'm gonna take some calls right now for the next 15 minutes. They gotta be quick. I can't add anybody on Skype for. I'm so frustrated with this shit. I've done everything I could. So if you're trying to call on Skype, please don't bother. I can't even add you to the call for reasons I'll never understand. Both you guys are contacts. I did tests before and everything. It's just completely bizarre. But I'm gonna add some people and let them talk. Agim, you're on with Colossal's Crazy and Dead on Dave. Go ahead.
Oh,
What's up, man?
hold on. It's A game actually. I'm sorry.
A-game, I'm
a
sorry,
big fan of
A-game.
you guys.
Yeah, sure. What you got? Because I've only got 15 minutes.
Oh crap.
Good start.
Yeah, you're blowing it.
So I take a chance.
Just explode me. I don't care. I forgot the question.
What did you want to talk about?
I was gonna say that Jesus Christ.
I love this. I fucking love it.
We're not like I put my pants on the same way you do, and so does Clown. Even though he's like Colossal's crazy and he's a badass in YouTube.
I don't because I'm not wearing pants right now.
Yeah,
It's too hot.
Dave has no pants on, so why can't
No
you talk
pants.
to us?
Yo,
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I can't add
think
him.
we should-
That's the problem. My Skype is that fucked up. I can't
Well, let me
even
see
add
if
him.
I can add him.
I can't add him.
Let me
See if you can add him.
Oh, they can't hear me.
Well, they can hear you fine, but you won't get to the
Oh.
point. And if you don't get to the point real soon,
Let's
I'm
see
gonna
if
have
I
to
can
let
add
you
him,
go,
yeah.
buddy.
Okay, sorry. I forgot what I was gonna say.
All right. Have a good day, man. Take care.
You too.
You too. All right, you blew it.
I've just tried adding him now.
No,
Let's
does
see.
it work?
It might work.
Oh, wait, well,
It
it
might.
won't work.
Give it a second.
Why can
It
he
might-
get
come
at?
on.
Why can he? I can't. I pay for this stupid thing.
Yeah, he's here. He's here.
Oh
Keemstar.
shit, Tommy, tap the microphone. It worked. Fuck.
Keemstar, you're here. What's up? You got to be able to defend
Dude,
yourself.
what the fuck? Why do you guys always do these podcasts about me but don't include me?
Well, I mean, I can't invite you because if I invite you, then it's like I'm using you for fucking views, dude.
No, you're very. It's not my show, but you're very welcome to come on.
Like,
I would
And I always
encourage
put you on when you call. I mean, I just couldn't.
You're not
'cause,
even in the title.
You know, you're not even in the title, dude. All right, we got to give Keem a chance.
To be
defend
fair, we
himself.
have talked about Keemstar for the majority of this. I will give you
Yeah.
the benefit of that.
Go ahead, Keem.
Dude, I just think it's ridiculous that you guys have a fucking podcast where you're talking about me like you don't even, like you can't ring me up or something. I just think that's fucking ridiculous.
Well, we're talking about the baited.
Well, I mean-
we're talking about the baited episode. We've done it plenty of times in the
We've
past.
done baited episodes where we talk about other people. We haven't rung them up.
All right, well, I'm gonna fucking do a podcast where I just talk shit about you.
We're not talking shit about
We're
you.
not shit.
Wait a second. Is he taking a piss?
Did you
Yeah, I'm taking a fucking piss. at
Fucking
this
A
point.
right, Keem. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Viva la Keem.
You're taking a, we're not talking shit about you. We're criticizing the episode at the very worst, and you're more than welcome to defend yourself.
Well,
You're
I
still
don't know, dude.
pissing. I
wake
can't
up-
believe he's pissing.
I
He's
wake
still
up-
going too.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Get over it. Do you guys piss too? Like,
Yeah, I
fuck.
know, but not on my fucking podcast. Can I take a leak during baited next
Well,
time?
there's a first for everything.
It's been like 45 seconds. You might want to go to a doctor. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm a healthy young man.
It's a lavatory flushing.
Is
Yes,
that
there
G
is.
fuel? Fuck, man. Shit.
Yeah, it's like in school. You know.
All right.
All
So
right, what's
anyhow,
up?
I just woke up. All I'm saying is I see this fucking long video from Leon Kush or whatever that Leon Cunt.
Yeah, he
whatever
was
the
a
fuck
dick
his
to me
name is.
too.
And
Good
dude,
man.
he's laying on this like big long like why is this thing so serious? Like I understand that Clown gave him a shout out and shit, but he is
No, he's
laying
a
it on.
The legend. Don't say any bad words about Leon Lush.
No, fuck you,
The
Clown.
next
He is
YouTube
laying it
channel
on
is the next
so
YouTube
thick.
sensation.
Dude,
Subscribe to Leon Lush.
Dude, Clown, your fucking nuts are bouncing off his chin. He is
I
just
don't care. I
inhaling
don't care.
your fucking cock. It is
If
the
there's
most
one
ridiculous
YouTuber I
thing.
can suck the dick of, it's Leon Lush. Subscribe
Go
to
watch Leon's video on Twitter, dude. He's dude, everything's
That's a
so
good man.
serious. He's like you use the excuse of entertainment. I just think you're a fucking manipulator. Blah blah blah. blah. I think you're a cocksucker. Leon Kush is a cocksucker. Go tweet that motherfucker right now. He's a cocksucker. This dude
right.
was inhaling the semen out of Clown's unerected cock. Unerected. He's not even fucking hard.
Oh,
Dude,
jeez.
Leon Kush is a fucking faggot. I'm saying it right now. He's gay for Clown. Gay. He's sitting there right now on Twitter thinking, oh, if Clown could just creep into my butthole, ooh, it would be so great. If he could just spread those cheeks and give me a little lickety lick. That guy is gay for you, Clown. It's ridiculous. He was emotionally affected by this podcast where he felt like you were being attacked and he wanted to white knight come in and save you. Leon Kush is a... I don't want to.
We're going to talk about White Knights now. How's Zoe?
What do you mean? You acted like I defended her. I basically put the fourth question.
Defended her left,
I-
right, fucking center, and threw us under the bus in the process. You bastard.
Fuck you. I publicly put forth, is she a pedo or not? Suck a
Right,
dick.
which turned out to be some elaborate fucking troll. Oh, I was bickering. I
It
was
wasn't
trying to
an
create a
elaborate
dialogue.
troll, though.
Backtrack the fuck off the fucking YouTube channel.
It
It's
was
sick.
not an elaborate troll. I just told you, all right, and I think I was very clear that entertainment need to be had.
All right, not at such a high cost, Keemstar. Cheers.
Keem, do you think you may have pushed the envelope a little bit on this one?
Do you think you might have fucked up Keemstar just a bit?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. And I'll tell you why. Because me asking a question, is Zoie Burgher a pedophile? Because if a man did the same thing, he would be considered one. Or pedo, excuse me, pedo. If a man did the same thing, he'd be considered one, right?
Yeah.
That question is a fucking legitimate, real question.
Is it really, though? Because it
really is. It really is because if a man...
You're 100% correct, but who cares? I mean, yeah, there's a double standard. There's double standards between men and women. We all know that. It's not like we're not revealing science here. It's just the way things go.
I brought up the fact that there's a double standard.
There is a double standard. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But is it important? And should that stuff be thrown around?
It's only a serious question if it's loaded. And the thing is, it was a dummy round inside, and that's what made it a fucking problem.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Had it been a loaded question, we'd be talking about things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
No,
well,
what he means was the whole thing was a joke. You know, if you would have brought it up and it wasn't a joke, then it would have had more impact. That's what he's saying.
It really wasn't a joke. No one's making a joke out of it. If a man did the same thing Zoie Burgher was doing, he would be considered a fucking pedo, period. How is that a joke? Where's the joke?
Then why wasn't that discussed on the podcast between you and Zoe and getting that actually hashed out?
All I'm saying is, like, Clown wants to keep on saying this is a troll. Tommy's saying this is a joke or whatever. You guys are making light of fucking, like, pedo allegations. I think it's ridiculous. That's disgusting.
No, because that wasn't the actual debate.
How dare you make light of pedo allegations? That's fucked up for both of you.
You did.
That's fucked up. No, I didn't. No,
amazing. That's amazing.
Entertainment purposes is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why you're doing a whole podcast.
When originally, no, it was just going to be. It was just going to be because you created a monster, apparently, and now she's sucking scarce off.
Of both of you.
So
disgusting of both of you, Clown.
I mean,
you just keep, let's have another podcast. Let's do another one tomorrow. Let's just keep on riding this fucking train, making light of pedo allegation. That's fucked up. I'm very ashamed of both of you.
We're discussing whether you did make pedo.
Ashamed of both of you.
Putting it on us.
I feel awful.
You've done. This is unfucking real. This is great.
I'm very ashamed of both of you. I thought this was over with the podcast, but no, fuck it. Let's just keep going. Let's keep talking about it. Let's just keep using such a serious allegation.
Keemstar could deflect what he's been accused of.
You are using such a serious allegation to make fucking money. That's all this is about, is fucking money, and that's disgusting. That is disgusting.
All right.
He's trolling right now. Like, he cannot.
Keem.
Quite a bit.
Cannot be serious.
I look. I gotta go to bed. All right, but I don't want to end this episode so like that you don't get to properly defend yourself. Do you have any last words? Because in fairness, he
can't defend himself, so he's just going to try.
Oh, I didn't say thanks.
Listen, I think I very much defended myself.
Okay.
But before I go, let me say this.
Okay.
Keemstar is the greatest entertainer of the fucking generation. See ya, bitches.
All
Leon
right.
Kush is a clown cocksucker. Clown is a social justice warrior. And Tommy will do anything for money.
And
Yeah,
Keemstar
probably. That might be the only thing you're right. Well, wait till he finds out that I exposed him by accident. He's gonna be really pissed at me. Change your thing.
Yeah,
But I mean, you can sort of hear it. I mean, this is just entertainment to him, and I got to be honest with you.
At what cost? At what cost?
Exactly? Who got hurt?
So many other ways to be entertaining, and Keemstar has proven countless times that he can be entertaining in so many other ways.
That's true. But I mean, in fairness to him, we just did a whole podcast about it. I find this subject fascinating. I think the fan subject fascinating. I don't get 1,200 people in here all the time. So, I mean, in some sense, like, I don't buy the double standard we have a discussion narrative. I think that's complete BS. I don't buy that at all.
It wasn't the real discussion.
No.
The true discussion that comes out of this is juice versus squeeze. That's the real discussion.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what Clown was getting at the entire goddamn time. Is this juice that you guys generate
and I think Clown's right.
Squeezing?
And
Absolutely.
I think Clown's right. And the difference between me is, and he hates the word upset. I was like,
I don't hate.
I was relieved. I was relieved when it was over.
Fucking cowboy with fucking words today.
All right.
I was not upset. I can just tell you that much. I was certainly angry to a certain extent, but I'd try and control it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just very vocal about what I felt. And that's it,
All
pretty
right.
much. That does not attribute to me being upset, though. I
Okay,
don't.
let me run this ad real quick and we'll say goodbye right after this.
Hey, what's
Real
happening,
talk.
everybody? It's Real Talk, the metaphor messiah, rapper and artist, but you know him better as the co-host of Shot from the Point Live. From the streets of Chicago to the bright lights of Las Vegas, Real Talk rocks the stage and the digital store. Hard-hitting and thought-provoking. Check out my man, Real Talk, the metaphor messiah. Make sure you check out his latest release, Black Mozart, along with his latest music video, Notice Me.
And don't let the advertising fool you. That song "Notice Me" is just kick ass. And
Legit, man, yeah.
Real Talk is an independent artist, and he put that whole video together himself. He had drones. He's in the middle of the Las Vegas desert. I mean, it is badass, and that song just gets it. I really hope you guys check out Real Talk, the Metaphor Messiah. Check it out. He's in the description box below, and stuff. And I hope you would check out Colossal is Crazy. Of course, his wonderful. You're past 200,000 now, right, Clown?
He's closing in on 3.
Are you really?
Yeah, closing in on 3. Very
Congratulations.
slowly. It's kind of really dropped at the moment. I think I'm down to only I used to get 1,000 subscribers, sometimes 2,000 subscribers a day, but I think it's dropped to 300 now.
Oh, really?
That's
And
amazing,
you and everybody
considering I
else.
only upload.
Yeah, I was making 1,000 a day, and then all of a sudden I was making 200 to 300, which I was fine with. And then this happened, this glitch that probably could make another podcast about. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm still getting 7 or 8 a day. You know, I mean, not 7 or 800.
And
but
that reminds me,
I'm doing
Dead
well.
on Dave Productions. He's on the front page of my site. He's also in the description box.
Well,
below.
Dave, we're definitely going to have to do. I don't want to do another interview, but definitely let me come on your show at some
I
point.
pitched you an idea. It's in your DMs. I pitched you an idea, and I think you're gonna like it. It was about a week
I
ago.
did see it. Yeah, the 5-question thing. Yeah, I think.
Well,
a
it's not
good
5
idea,
questions,
and,
5
yeah, just hit me up,
YouTubers.
we'll do it.
All right,
Sounds
everybody. They're gonna. That's another reason to subscribe to Dead on Dave Production. Colossal is Crazy is gonna be on, and we're only doing this for views, just like Keemstar said. Thank you very much, everybody. Check out Real Talk. Check out. I hope you sub, and share if you're new. Definitely check out Colossal's Crazy. I mean, he's just he's the shit. He's the bee's knees. He's the what do they say in Ireland?
The cat's pajamas.
Yeah,
Cat's pajamas.
Cat's pajamas. The bollocks. I don't know. Whatever. Hey, everybody, have a good night.
Fish
Take
and
care.
chips. I don't know.
Fish and chips.
Chi-town, the King's home, slapping fives, black stones, 6 mile to danger zones, bullets look like waffle cones. Folk affiliated the evolution of Machiavelli. Don't make me lead them eagles to you like I'm Chip Kelly. They feel my struggle, I express.